Are Japanese Pokemon cards that have been super popular, expensive, and hyped over the past year or so, are they finally starting to come crashing down? Well, over the past year, a lot of people have been saying this is the time to get into Japanese Pokemon. This is the best time, way better than English, all that stuff, and we're going to look at all those reasons in this video. However, the newest Japanese set has not been doing super good. That Shiny Treasures EX just came out in Japanese, soon to be English, and we're going to look at if this is the start of Japanese cards coming back down to earth, or maybe things are just getting started. Alright, so Shiny Treasures has been out for at least a couple weeks now at the time of me recording this. It is December 22nd when I'm recording this. Shiny Treasures has been out for a little bit, and man, have the prices changed like this, unlike 151 or other Japanese sets. It's been kind of weird over the past year with Japanese Pokemon, honestly. We could talk about it for hours. But when the set first came out, Shiny Treasures, it was $120 booster box, like right off the start when it came out, and a lot of the singles were extremely expensive as well. So let's take a look really quick at what's happened. I said $110 booster box right when it released. This is what they sell for in the US anyways. In Japan, the MSRP on these products is crazy low. It's like $40 to $50 for these specialty sets, and they're selling for more than double that at the start. But now you're finding these regularly just a couple weeks later for as low, I think this one's fake, Hong Kong, China, and they're Japanese. I don't think that's real, but $63.69, that is more than a legit price right now. $75, and this is coming down in just a couple weeks, over 40%. 50% drops in this set's price. I've even seen these on TikTok for like, now without coupons and stuff, we gotta talk about TikTok one day, but like for $59.99, $60, like you have been able to get this set. It's been everywhere. Everyone's got it. It's for sale everywhere. And even the singles have been crashing down. Let's take a look at the singles. All right, so the Charizard SAR in this set, which is like an absolutely insanely beautiful card. This is like, oof, this Charizard is the best one from freaking Scarlet and Violet. You can't even compare it, honestly. $251. This was originally a $300+ card. Over the past days, you see this thing just coming down. That was a pretty high sale for it. $215 all the way to one of the most recent sales being $189.99, $199.99. This card has dropped over 30% easily ever since release, which is again pretty recent. A bundle of the Mew, which again is another insane card, with the Charizard together, $329. That is good. That is a good price. These things have just come down. The Iono, which is the most expensive card in the set at the time of recording this video, was a $500 to $600 card on release of this set. Now, barely scraping the 300 mark at $275. You know, people are rushing to grade these things super quick. And this is while the set is still like super relevant. Like a lot of people are opening this. Everyone's selling it, like I said. And the prices have just come crashing down like this. Imagine when the set starts to lose a little bit of relevance as we get into the future, and this thing just gets printed into oblivion, which it really does seem like this was a heavily printed Japanese set. And when you compare it to other Japanese sets that we've had in the recent time, you'll see that this set is definitely maybe an indication of the Japanese card market starting to come back down. I even found one for $200. That's insane. All right, so let's get our thoughts together here. Why have Japanese Pokemon cards been so popular over the past year? There are three reasons from what I've gathered that have been making Japanese Pokemon cards a lot more popular over this past year. And reason number one is the card quality. With Sword and Shield era and the crazy COVID boom and everything we had with English Pokemon cards, we all saw so many miscut cards, so many print errors, texture problems, centering being so bad, and that pushed a lot of people starting the Scarlet Violet era into Japanese Pokemon cards because they heard just how much better the card quality is, from the texturing to the centering looking great on so many of these cards. And looking at the past runs of Sword and Shield sets in Japanese, the card quality looked so much better. So it seemed like a logical step for Scarlet and Violet era. Let's just start collecting Japanese now. The second reason that people are collecting Japanese Pokemon cards now is because of the chase card prices. So after Sword and Shield era, people absolutely loved the prices of some of the top chase cards in the set, like the Umbreon VMAX Alt Art, Rayquaza VMAX Alt Arts, Giratina Alt Arts. You know, people loved going for that big, expensive chase card. And when Scarlet and Violet era started coming out in English, the cards just did not hold that same of like high-end value for those really expensive chase cards as the Japanese counterparts would. For example, with Scarlet and Violet base set, the Miriam alternate art as I'm making this video is like 20 bucks, 25 bucks. It's a very, very cheap card, and that is one of the top cards, if not the top card in the Scarlet and Violet base set. It's tough. I mean, honestly, I don't think anybody wants a top card to be 25 to 30 bucks, right? No, nobody really wants that. Everyone likes when there's a little bit more expense in there to make it a little more worth it when opening, right? Well, the Japanese counterpart is a multiple $100 card, and when the set released, Miriam in English was around 80 bucks, 70 bucks, and in Japanese it was like 700 plus. So it was a very clear, let's just open this one, because a lot of the cards were a lot more expensive. So, and it's sitting even today $200 to $300 just for that Miriam SAR in Japanese. So you can see, hey, well, just those card prices, it makes a lot more sense to open the Japanese counterpart because there is a lot more value in the highest chase cards in the set. And the third reason that people have been purchasing Japanese cards recently in the past year is because these sets have become more available in the United States and across the world. And typically they come out before English sets released. And that might have changed a little bit. We'll talk about that in the next section of this video. But typically, the sets come out 2 months, maybe a month before the English counterpart even ends up coming out. So it gets you access to those newer cards at high prices with good quality, presumably, and you get all of that before it even comes out in English. So you can see how all three of those things together makes it a lot more desirable for people to open Japanese Pokemon cards right now. Well, hold up, because everything I just said is what drew people in to this about a year ago, right? When Sword and Shield is ending, people are getting off the high of Sword and Shield, ending it with a bang with Crown Zenith, moving into Scarlet and Violet base set, and everyone's like, dude, I mean, these prices, all this, it just makes sense to move to Scarlet and Violet. Well, things have changed, dude, over the past few months here. They really, really have. And let's look at reasons why things might be changing with Japanese cards now. All right, so the card quality in Japanese, yeah, everyone moved to it because it was very good. But now, if we look at card quality now for Japanese Pokemon cards, oh my gosh, have it changed a lot. With the super popularity of things growing, Japan has been forced to print these sets as much as they possibly can, and that's getting in the way of the print quality because centering issues have been much more common in Japanese sets. Texture issues that you would normally never see in English Pokemon cards are showing up, like the newest Shiny Treasure set. In the Shiny, the Baby Shiny cards, there's some like texture shift where like usually Pokemon designs cards where the texture surrounds the Pokemon and it matches, but it's been shifted to the side where it looks like there's two of the Pokemon, or it's kind of like supposed to be 3D looking, and that's not right. There's texture shift issues, and that can impact grading, centering issues with that, and it hasn't been the same as it was, let's say, Sword and Shield era and before. The card quality has taken a really, really big decline over the past few months. Also, English has been getting a lot more affordable. This is coming off of a time when English was still pretty expensive for Pokemon to get, and they raised MSRP and everything, and don't get me wrong, English still does have its expenses, but when you compare it to Japanese Pokemon cards, it almost makes more sense from a standpoint of just wanting to collect cards to buy English. For example, the new Paradox Rift is about a $100 booster box right now, and you'll get, what is it, 3, 4, 5 maybe of these full arts, golds, SIRs. You know, you'll get 3 to 4 of those in a box, and then you get 3 of your illustration rares. When if you look at a Japanese booster box of Paradox Rift, which could be anywhere from, at the time of release for that set, $80 to $90, you get one, either full art, gold, secret rare, one of those types of cards. You'll get one of those in a box for a very close to equivalent price, and now those boxes have come down a little bit to maybe more like the $50, $60 range, but even buying 2 booster boxes of that, you're not even scraping half of what an English box can get you for the same amount of money.
But Skip, the prices of the chase cards in the set are way more expensive. Don't you get it, Skip?
Listen, what I'm about to say, you guys need to listen on this, okay? This is something that has been happening. It's called the Sword and Shield effect, okay? Listen, the Sword and Shield effect. This is where everyone looks at the highest priced card in a set and goes, that's what makes it worth opening. And I'm here to tell you, that's not true one bit, all right? You can look at Evolving Skies and say, oh my gosh, so amazing to open because the Umbreon VMAX alternate art is $500. If I can just pull that, that makes things great. Or if I can pull the Giratina V alternate art out of Lost Origin, that almost $300 card, $250 card, then oh my gosh, that's the value I want to be able to pull in my booster box. And that's great. You can definitely want to chase that. But the problem with Sword and Shield sets that no one really talks about is that it's all or nothing. It really is. There's some amazing artworks, but if you're looking for dollar value out of a box, it's like Giratina alternate art out of Lost Origin, Aerodactyl alternate art out of Lost Origin, and then you're just within the next 10 cards, you're already looking at like $3, $1 cards within that. So if you're not pulling those huge chases, everything is just almost a bulk rate. And in Japanese, this is no exception. While you might be looking at the Roaring Moon, or in Scarlet Violet base, the Miriam SIR, if you're looking at prices today in these sets, Miriam is one of the only like 2 or 3 cards that holds value in the set. And then every single thing else after that is almost a bulk rate. It's so cheap, it's unbelievable. So you're in for bigger risk, bigger reward. But most of the time, you're going to end up just getting less value for your money. Where if you look at English now, Paradox Rift, there's 30 plus cards that hold value $5 and up. And there's so much spread out in Scarlet and Violet. It's not all or nothing with those. It's, hey, this is good value, this is good value, this is good value. Hey, 10 cards out of the box have pretty good value, and that adds up to be really good. And the cost of opening Pokemon cards, if you factor in, the value of stuff you pull, is honestly a lot better now. You could open these old booster boxes of Sword and Shield stuff, end up with literally $15 to $20 in hits, when with Paradox Rift and newer Scarlet Violet sets, let's not talk about Scarlet Violet base right now, because that set is just, it has so many issues with it, that we don't really want to talk about, right? Not really that many great cards in there. But Paldea Evolved and Paradox Rift, those sets that are larger, they carry really good value all the way across, and that's a good direction for Pokemon to be going, to hold good value throughout many cards rather than one card being super chase. If you don't pull that, you're disappointed with the box. Be honest, how many times have you opened a box and been like, I didn't pull the chase of like a Sword and Shield set? I didn't pull the chase, now I'm not happy. With Scarlet and Violet, you're like, hey, I got some cool cards. I'm happy with that. I got some good cards. I enjoyed pulling those, and that's just something no one really talks about. Sorry for rambling on that. So yeah, the spread value in English cards is definitely contributing to Japanese. Maybe people are starting to realize that, and more people are gravitating towards cheaper price with English Pokemon cards now to get more cards, and usually more bang for your buck in the average box. The last thing that's starting to change with Japanese Pokemon cards is slowly but surely, they've been getting closer and closer and closer to English release times. And I'm not sure if this is just a past 6 month thing, but ever since after 151 came out in Japan, Obsidian Flames in English and Japanese basically came out in the same 3-day period. Paradox Rift, the second half of Paradox Rift, Ancient Roar and Future Flash, came out same day as Paradox Rift. And even Shiny Treasures is a shorter time frame than usual now. It's just about a month in between there. And these are all getting a lot closer, so I don't know if Pokemon's planning on making Japanese and English releases more closer than ever. And even the next set that's coming out in English after Paldea and Fates, the next main series set, is going to be coming out very, very close within just a couple days of its Japanese counterpart to finish the set off. So a lot of weird things happening. Instead of your 2 months you get before sets, now you're starting to get closer and closer time periods. So it's not really worth, hey, I could wait that 2 weeks, or I could wait that week before opening the English version. That's fine. And I'll get a lot more cards for it. So those are all things to consider, why people might be starting to maybe come back to opening English product. 151's been doing really strong. Paradox has been doing really strong. Paldea's even coming up, doing really great. Next set, Shiny set, seems to be more anticipated in English than it is right now in Japan. Or maybe I'm just crazy, right? Maybe this is just not a good set in Japan. People aren't really liking it over there. I think this Shiny set is overshining Fates for sure. This one has some amazing ones. The Pikachu Shiny, Shinx Shiny. I mean, come on. There's so many good ones. Snorlax, lots of Gen 1s. It's a great set. But in Japanese, it just might not be, maybe received as well as we will with the English counterpart. And maybe that's just true upon Shiny sets. So if we look at Shiny Star V, which was the Japanese equivalent of Shining Fates that came out a couple years ago in English, it's sitting around $115, $120. You can find these elsewhere for like $110 or $100 a box right now. And that hasn't really gone up very much. Remember, like I said, like 151 right now. Oh my gosh, 151 is 200 plus a box. This set is still going absolutely insane, right? This is an outlier set, specialty set, and it was one of the best sets printed in a few years, right? It was great. But then you go back to VMAX Climax, which was like a lot of trainer galleries, basically. It was Brilliant Stars, Astral, Lost Origin, and Silver Tempest. It was a lot of the trainer galleries from those sets was all put into here and released as one set. This released after Shiny Star V, the Shining Fates set, and it is really expensive now. It's 150, 140s. You might be able to find these like 135, but it's doing better and stronger than Shiny Star V. So maybe just in Japanese, maybe shiny sets just aren't as popular and good as they are in English. So that could be everything, and I'm just crazy and I made this whole video for no reason. Or maybe there's more. I don't know. Keep an open mind. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment. Watch one of these videos if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next video.